Welcome back guys, this is the 7th tutorial for the Python for Beginners course, and in this tutorial we will be discussing data structures, how the addressing works, immutable and mutable objects, and the last topic will be tuples. Now, the first thing I wanted to discuss was the difference between data structures and data types. As we talked about before, the data types, it is a type of data that Python holds, right? For example, int, string, float, these are examples of data types. It is a type of data. In data structures, however, it is the way we store the data or organize that data so that we can use that or access that efficiently and in less time. We want to access that data as soon as possible, right? That's why we use data structures, and they have multiple uses, and we will be discussing that in further videos. Now, it's really important for you if you are pursuing an data science career in your life to know these data structures. That's why I would suggest you to research on these data structures, and I will be giving you some of the materials in my videos only to read about these data structures, and some of the videos will be to make sure that you understand those concepts. So please do follow or subscribe this channel so that you can get those concepts in time. Now, the first thing about addressing, why we are discussing here, is that it is actually related to tuples, or it is very important for you to understand how actually Python is assigning those addresses to those integers or those variables that we are actually declaring, right? So first concept that comes into my mind, or the first thing that comes to my understanding when I read about addressing, was that it actually searches for those instances inside the memory or the RAM itself. Now, what happens is that Python is a very smart language, and what happening in the background is really complex sometimes, that we don't understand what's going on. But for now, let us understand that how is it actually addressing those instances. For example, I declare a variable x equals to 5 here, let's say. Okay, and I just print it. Can I do that? Yes, I can do that, right? So I just assigned a address to this 5 here, right? I'm done with it. Now I can print that address using the id function that we have talked a lot before, and I hope you are using it right now. So what happens in the background is that it actually provided an id to this x here. Alright, so what's important is that if I assign the same value, and we have discussed this before guys, that if we do this, the address will be same. As you can see, if I copy this, just give me a second there. Yeah, so I paste both these IDs here, or print these IDs here. It's returning the same values. Why is it happening? Because Python in the background is searching for this 5 here, and if it finds that it is already existing, it just points both of these variables to same address. That's how it is working in the background, and that's really important for you to understand. Now, the immutability and mutability objects have those properties because of this addressing mode that we just saw, that we are actually assigning the same address in some particular cases to a same address, right? So that's very important. So please note it down, that sometimes if Python founds that this instance or this object is already existing, it will assign the same address to both the variable that is trying to address or point at that object, same address. Okay, Now, what are immutable and mutable objects? We have discussed this before in the list video. Immutable are those which cannot change their structures. For example, integers, you can't change the structure of an integer. A string, a tuple is one of the most used immutable object, right? It's why it is used, we will be discussing it right now. And string is one of the examples. It's very important, and the list dictates that all of these objects come under mutable objects, right? We have discussed this, and I hope you are clear with these concepts, because it's coming again and again and I'm repeating those. So tuples, in this video we will be discussing mainly tuples and its methods. As compared to list, it does not have as many as methods as list, because the mutability part is actually missing, right? So tuples does not need all those properties or methods that list needs because of its mutability property, right? And the first thing that we will discuss is creating tuples, and it's really easy. Just use these round brackets here and you can create a empty tuple. This is an empty tuple, guys, and we can actually add values in it, and now we can do that. Let's see if we can, and we will find this out. Okay, if we can add something in tuples. So I am trying to actually declare a tuple using the tuple constructor here. This is a constructor, guys. Okay, please, if you don't know about constructors, don't worry, it's coming in further videos. And we are using constructor because some of the students forget that we have to use double brackets here. This does not work, right? So please remember that we need to use double round brackets. Okay, this is actually the point and this is why I keep on repeating things, because this is where students mainly get confused that why is it not working, what happened and all. Okay, so can we create or add heterogeneous data or different type of data? For example, a string, a list, a float and an integer in single tuple? Yes, we can do it, guys. It's possible, and we can access it using index also. So the main thing that we have to understand here, that it is indexed. We have talked about indexing before. It's just the way Python refers to each and every element. This is the zeroth index, first index, second index, third index, and this is zeroth index of the third index, right? So let's try to print it out for you. Okay, so we are actually, I am actually printing the type here, I'm sorry. We can access that. I was trying to access those, right? So we can access those, and we can see that we can actually assign different types of data inside a single tuple. This is a tuple, and we are assigning a string, a float, an integer and a list inside a single tuple. That's what I was aiming for, to show you that we can assign this different type of data and also we can access them. All right, so here is another example, and we can also create a tuple with one single element using a comma here. You have to be very careful about this, and we can use the constructor here as well, but the comma here is really important, because brackets will just print it or interpret it as a string, right? That's important. There's a difference between a tuple and a string, right? So we have to actually be very careful while we are trying to make a tuple of a single object or single element, right? So this is really important. Now indexing and slicing. Now slicing is a property of indexing. We know that we need indexing to slice an object. What is slicing? Slicing is just cutting an object off with a lot of elements into different parts. For example, can I cut this my tuple into 2 parts, from amino to this 10.2, the float? Yes, we can do it. And the reverse indexing is also present in tuple. So indexing is there, and that's why we can use slicing, right? So if you don't know what slicing is, it's just using these two. You can do this, like for example, can I have this amino and 10.2? Yes, using a slicing. And can I use indexing to access those elements? Yes, I can do that, right? So it's quite simple, and we have discussed slicing before. It's really simple. And let's see what's the issue here. And we are actually out of index. Oh, so actually I tried to print a extra element here. We don't have a 5th element. The 4th index is actually empty, so now I should not get any error, right? So that's it. I just wanted to show you that how the indexing works. Indexing is the first element has 0th index, the second element has 1st index, the third element has 2nd index, and so on, right? This is the part I think I missed in I did not give an example in list, that's why I added it here, right? So you can use the reference of this indexing as well as in list. Both are same. Nested tuples, yes, we can make them, not an issue. As you can see, there is no issue, and we can access those elements like this. The first element of element 4th here, or the 3rd index, is actually accessing here the 30 here, right? So 1, 0th, 1, 2, and 3. 3rd index and 0th index of that is this. Alright, so I hope that's clear. It's just returning one object after another, an object inside an object, and that's how it's working. There is nothing complicated. All you have to do is play with some indexes, get some errors, and you will get it in 4th or 5th time, maybe 6th time you will get it, right? So just practice it a lot. All right, slicing we just discussed. We can actually slice these elements in, or these tuples, into 2, 3, however, how many parts, whatever the possibilities there are, we can do that, right? So we can access first 3 elements here, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, from 0 to 3rd. And if I remove this, it's actually default value is 0 always, and we can go from 1st to 3rd, and we can also jump between these variables using the steps argument here, right? So it's simple. I know that we have discussed this, that we are stepping from movie to 20 here. This is really simple. We can do that in list. And if you don't know what's going on here, please go to the list videos, the tutorial number 5th, I guess, so you can get clear idea what's happening, right? Slicing is really wonderful feature of Python, and I personally love this, right? Okay, so tuple immutability. Now this is the concept that separates list from tuples. How is it so? Immutability, we discussed that we cannot change the structure. What does this mean actually? So all it means is that we cannot change the values inside it. The 0th index, as you can see, I'm trying to change int value at index 0. Is it possible? No, guys, it's not possible. It will return an error here that object tuple is not mutable, or it does not support an assignment, right? It's an error. We cannot do that in any case. Whatever you want to use, it's not possible. However, the object is still there. As you can see, I tried a lot of assignments here, but still the object that was created, my tuple, is same. There is no changes. So you cannot change once it is formed, right? As you can see, I cannot even add elements or do any kind of assignment. Can I actually delete something? So guys, this is very, very important, that deleting a structure does not mean that we are trying to change it, right? So what students get confused in, that we cannot even delete that object after we have created that. It's not true, guys. We can delete an entire object once it is created. In tuples, we cannot change the structure itself. Please be very clear about this thing, because this is where the concepts get complicated, right? So can we delete that structure? Yes, we can, because it's not as you can see, I have defined my tuple here, and I have deleted that whole object itself. So we are not trying to change anything in that tuple, and if I try to print it, it will just return me that it is not defined. That means the whole tuple is deleted now. So we can change that, right? We can delete a tuple. So tuple methods, as I told you, there won't be a lot of methods because of the absence of mutability property. So let's just get over this with. So I have defined a tuple here. My tuple equals to, I have a lot of integer values and list inside it. So can we count those? Yes, we can. We can use the count method here to actually count how many times a specific value has appeared. So if you see that the 10 here is appeared 1, 2, 3, 4. I want you to guess, is this count method going to count these tens inside this tuple and list? Please pause the video and guess that. If you got the answer right, congratulations. If not, the main issue with count is that it's not going into depth, right guys? It's not an in-depth function. Please remember that count will only count those values that are actually on surface. So 10 here and 10 here, only those two are getting counted. None of the tens inside a tuple or a list gets counted. That's really, really important, right? And index, as I told you, it gets stopped on the first index or the first element that it finds. So 0, it finds that yes, it is at 0th index, it stops there, and that's all. So if I remove this, it will go up till the last one, as you can see. So let's wait. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going at the last one. It's not counting this, or this index is also not going to search inside tuples or a nested tuple, if I have to be very specific, right? Now tuple packing and unpacking is really simple. All you have to do is assign all the values inside the tuple to different variables. We can do this, right? It's really simple. We won't have any error. Of course, if I try to do this, I have less variables, then it will return an error. As you can see, it's too many values to unpack, right? So I have to be careful about that here. That's all. I hope you won't face that issue, just in case. So sorting, is sorting applicable in tuples? Yes guys, sorting is possible in tuples. Why? Because it's indexed first of all, and second, it can actually know that these two values are actually bigger than or smaller than one another, right? So sorting is possible. Now the main thing that you must be wondering is that why it just got printed again, right? So the main issue with tuple is that we cannot change the structure, right? Once it's stored at zeroth term, zeroth index? Can we actually change this index of 0 to 1 to 3 to 4 or anything else? No, we cannot do that, right? So how can we use this sort method? We can use the sort method by converting this value or converting this values here into a list, or storing it to another variable. This is a value sorted. When we are storing this sorted value, it's actually going to be a list. Please remember this very important point here, that when we try to sort a tuple, we actually change the data type here. Okay, I hope that's the last point that we are going to discuss, and of course descending order is also possible. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I know this has gotten a little bigger, and I hope I'm trying to cover at least all the concepts that I can think of. If you find anything that I am leaving behind, please comment it out. It would be great help. I'll be improving so much in my videos, and it will be a great help for the other students, right? Thank you guys. Tata. Have a good day.